Well, it has nothing to do with the body. Okay, this is a New Age fantasy that takes too literally drawings that were made by yogis a long time ago that were originally understood to refer to esoteric levels of consciousness. But the Kundalini is not in the physical body, but the physical body is in the Kundalini. Okay, because all Kundalini is the energy that produces the whole universe. Okay? There is only one energy. So you can think of it as the unified field of the quantum wave function. You can think of it in all kinds of ways. But that energy, in its most contracted and you could say coiled up state, is the ego state, in which it contracts that energy and doesn't allow it to become the infinite blossoming of the full potential. At each assemblage point or at each level of rise of the Kundalini, there's a little more freedom, a little more margin of willpower, a little more imagination, a little more openness to having faith in that higher possibility of life. And so one struggles with a drive that wants to keep you small and contracted. We call that the lower death drive, because there's a part of the ego that wants to go back into the mother's womb, that wishes it didn't even exist, because existence is hard. You know, you got to work for a living. You got to go out and take care of people. The ego doesn't want that. It would rather just get drunk and black out, you know, or commit suicide at its ultimate level. So one has to struggle against that. And when one reaches a certain tipping point of the Kundalini, the upper death drive that wants to kill the ego but not kill your body becomes stronger than the lower, and then you begin to fly into those higher realms of consciousness, and there's less and less resistance. So that's why at the lower levels it's important to take vows, to live according to a dharma, to create a structure, to have a community, to have a teacher, to have all of these helps, these assistances of overcoming the gravity of the lower death drive. And then once you reach a certain point, you don't need any of that. You're free. And your own inherent integrity and your divinity will carry you to those higher states. But for the first half of the journey, let's say, until you reach chakra 4, which is a metaphor now, requires, or at least will benefit greatly from having the assistance of those who are on the same path and a structured life that keeps you safe from acting out in ways that produce more guilt and shame and falling back into the lower state. But it has nothing to do with the physical body. Don't think of it, the Kundalini, as being localized in certain organs. They're not. Those are metaphors.
I just saw some pictures of an aura camera, and so it was very clear.
Yeah, well,
And
if you believe that.
Up to here, and then sometimes it went not all the way up.
You're talking about Kirlian photography, or are you talking about something else?
Yeah. Well, apparently there's a new camera that is called aura camera.
Okay.
And it's a better camera than the Kirlian camera.
Yeah, okay, well, there's a lot of fake things they can do with Photoshop and that kind of thing with cameras that can fool you. But in any case, the Kundalini energies truly can't be photographed by any kind of camera. They're far too subtle. Cameras cannot take divine light. Only natural light will be seen. So I wouldn't believe too much about it. The Kirlian photography can take the electromagnetic energy. It's still natural energy, but it's a subtler vibrational frequency. But divine light is seen only in the mind's eye.
And then some people, this is what I heard, I don't know, that the Kundalini wakes up and and they're not prepared for it, so they kind of go crazy, but there's people in India that take care of them until the energy settles, and then that person...
These are either myths, or they're people whose Kundalini rose because they took too much LSD or ayahuasca, or they smoked some really good cannabis or whatever, but it's usually not a natural thing. And if it is something that happens in a natural way, it's not traumatic. And the person, yes, may need to sit and meditate to stabilize in it, but it's not like they become crippled or in some way unable to function.